Before we start, I need to tell you that I'm not a lawyer, appraiser, nor surveyor. I want to show you what a property owner who has been forced into court over eminent domain is up against. In Boone County, Kentucky, the system has been gamed. In order for me to show you the corruption, I need to explain some of the court case and state law that apply in Kentucky. All of the homes pictured are identical. Imagine the appraiser putting a hypothetical price of $200,000 on each home. If government took the properties through eminent domain, they could pay one property owner an absurd amount of money while paying others the appraised price. This is the court case law that allows them to get away with it in Kentucky. They've been using this case law for more than 60 years. It prevents what is actually being paid for the properties from being admitted as evidence, even though legal proof could be on file at the same courthouse. Only the appraisals are admissible, and those would have to be for the same class property. Let's say one property owner decides they don't like the price offered and decides to fight back. Now the government will be forced to take it into the court. This is where a property owner could be placed in a situation of even if they win, they lose. The court will appoint 3 commissioners who are required to be landowners. They set a price on the property the government will have to put on deposit with the local county clerk to take possession of the property. Once again, I'm not a lawyer. This is the state law that applies. KRS 416.580. This is where the court gets weaponized. They set the price government has to put on deposit to take the property. They cannot be deposed during an eminent domain trial in Kentucky. A jury would not be allowed to know what price they set. The nightmare begins. The price they set will be listed on the civil action notice delivered by the sheriff's department. The document warns the property will be sold to the government for the price the commissioner set in 20 days if the owner fails to enter an interlocutory agreement with the government. The interlocutory agreement is the state's narrative for how the case will play out. The government has everything to win and the property owner everything to lose by failing to enter their agreement. Once the civil action notice is delivered, the property owner has 30 days to file exceptions to the state's claims to be eligible for a jury trial. Let me say a little bit about a jury trial in Kentucky over eminent domain. If the property owner fails to obtain a unanimous decision in their favor, the state wins. If one juror holds out, the property owner loses. You might wonder just how bad the commissioner's price can be. This was lot 325. It was about 2,000 feet from the interstate, zone commercial 3, and deeded 1.18 acres. The land here was typically over $250,000 per acre. The highway department's appraisal had severely lowballed the price for this property. Its size had also been substantially reduced. At the time, I assumed it was because the highway department had an obligation to save taxpayer funds. This was not the case. I discovered later that the highway department was dumping huge amounts of cash in the ditch. This evidence not admissible because of the case law previously mentioned. There were many others. I would be facing the same lawyer in court whose name appears in the deed of conveyance for the 2 ditched properties you just seen. His name was John F. Estill. Or maybe it's pronounced John F. Estill. He produced this PowerPoint presentation for the highway department. I took time to read it. It's interesting, but what concerned me was on page 6. Case law indicates that if a condemner made an offer to purchase, then there were negotiations. The court systems have become corrupt and weaponized. They don't have a problem with using some of us to stimulate the local legal economy. Now I'm going to show you the legal mathematical architecture behind what they had done. The three commissioners had set a price of $18,000 on this 1.18 acre zone commercial 3 lot. The low price was designed around lawyers' compensation. Recovered compensation is measured from the commissioner's price unless a preset minimum is agreed to. Most lawyers typically take 1/3 of the compensation recovered. Example, let's say the jury awards or the case settles for $200,000. Looking at the low award column, $200,000 was the settlement, $20,000 was the commissioner's award. The total recovered compensation would be $180,000. The lawyer would be entitled to 1/3 of that, or $60,000. Looking at the high award column, if the commissioners had set the award at $200,000 and the property owner was looking for $200,000, the case would have likely settled and the recovered compensation would have been zero. Some lawyers are aware of this built-in mathematical architecture and request a flat fee per hour instead. Others would take advantage of it. That's huge compensation for just taking the case. Because of the low award, the lawyer pockets everything the property owner was fighting for. This is the reason for never allowing a local politician to serve more than 2 terms. They game the system to serve their own interest. What they rob from other property owners, they can stuff in the pockets of their friends. A property owner who's been forced into court in Boone County, Kentucky is likely being used to stimulate the local legal economy. Some of the people making the property owner's life a living hell likely attend the same barbecue parties. In the beginning, I assumed that a jury trial would be fair. Nobody likes to be robbed. I later learned this statement only applies to self. I tried to get the local news to report on what I had discovered. They refused. I turned to social media and made an unexpected discovery. People I didn't even know hated me and knew a lot about me and what was going on at the time. It's called crab mentality. If I can't have it, neither can you. Put one crab in a bucket without a lid on it, it's likely to escape. Put more than one crab in a bucket without a lid and they will kill each other to prevent escape. Here's an example of some of the comments that I received on social media. This guy seemed to have a lot of knowledge about what was going on regarding highway projects within the county. I think he may have been a government employee. I was accused of even having insider information about government projects. This would tell you that basically some of these people know that a game exists. Remember that in order for the property owner to win, the jury must vote unanimously in the property owner's favor. In Kentucky, if one juror holds out, the property owner loses. The jury will not be allowed to know about the cash dumps that others were given. The jury may look at it like they've done the taxpayers a favor by preventing the property owner from getting compensation that was just. All of this is way worse than I've described here. Once the trial date is set, the property owner is forced to jump through timed legal hurdles. Hiring the wrong attorney could lead to the clock being run out. The property owner will have the burden of proving the property was worth more than the government offered. This means hiring surveyors, appraisers, and possibly a title search. It's almost impossible to hire any of these people once a property has been sent to the court. To top it off, the government is not responsible for the property owner's legal cost, even if they lose. We, the voters, can correct this. A veto-proof legislature will always be agenda-driven. We need to be careful about the people we send into government. Some will follow the party line even if it furthers corruption. Balanced government would serve us best. Thank you for watching. Please check out the other related videos to this. Legalized property theft, state-induced adverse possession. This video explains how the Highway Department has given property legally deeded to me to surrounding neighbors, forcing me into a situation of state-induced adverse possession. The real KYTC District 6. It will cover the malicious intent of the Highway Department against targeted property owners. Thank you for watching.